All right, night guys. All right, so welcome everyone to our monthly general meeting. So this is a meeting that happens every second Sunday of the month, right? And we essentially like to have these meetings just to more or less give an update as to what to expect from the JIA. Have the members have the ability to get to know each other, introduce yourselves, so that you can essentially feel a part of the community. So we have several announcements, several upcoming events, and tonight's meeting, it won't be a long meeting. We'll just really take you through some of those. I see several people on the call, so customarily, when we start a meeting, we just have everyone sort of, just introduce themselves. So in case it's your first time, or even if it's not your first time, so that other people can get to know you. As I said, we're trying to build a community here. So, yeah, so I'll start. Matthew Stone, president. I guess we can also state, what brought you here or your interest in AI. I've always had a interest in AI. I mostly do AI research, so that's my background. Cool. Anyone else can, I guess, volunteer to go next?
Good night. I am Vanya Jack Davis, and I chose to join because I am very interested in the productivity aspect of AI. But as somebody that is also in privacy, I also want to ensure that in using AI, we are not, violating the rights of persons as well. So a balance.
All right, thanks for coming. All right, anyone else?
Greetings, folks. My name is Jonathan. I work alongside UAMSBM in building out AI research initiative projects. I joined because I'm like all in on AI. I recognize the benefits as well as the drawbacks, but definitely the benefits as well, and how it can not only, as the person I said before, increasing productivity, but also liberating and freeing up more time to do matters that could push business forward or even have me, leveraging work outside of business as well. So yeah.
Hi.
Hello, good night.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, good night, everyone. I'm Joel I attend UWI as well. I'm a first year student. The reason why I joined is because, I use AI while working. I mostly do data management. So I use AI doing help me, being more efficient at work, and I like to know more about it. That's why I joined.
All right, thanks for coming.
Hi, my name is Grace Solas. I'm a project management professional consultant. My interest really is, it's a general interest in AI. I've done a couple of courses and actually in the middle of a MBA program that has an AI course, AI subject in it as well. And I'm interested to see what, this community is doing in Jamaica and to see how, if I can add any value to the discourse or add value to the process. So that's why I joined. Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks for coming. Anyone else?
Hello. Hi, everyone. I am Ashley Robinson. I am the vice chair of JI's policy committee, and what drew me to AI and even joining this community is, yes, the understanding that privacy is going to be interfaced, with the use of AI, and we need to put in protections in place to ensure that everyone, while we are getting the benefit of AI, we are also not being harmed, and just ensuring that we can have good governance around that. So that's what brought me to this community, and I'm glad to see you all here today. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rashawn Watson, and I joined because I have a general interest in AI, and I'm particularly keen on looking at policy issues and also overall AI governance. Thanks.
Afternoon, everyone.
Hey, good.
Name is Lance McConnell. I'm a software engineer by profession. I started taking an interest in how AI can be leveraged in day-to-day work, generative AI in particular. Came across this on LinkedIn and decided that it would be, good to go be a part of the community and great for networking as well, So it's largely why I'm here and see where we can learn from each other. We can leverage the tool and the community here in JA.
Hey, good night, everyone. My name is Stafford Brown. I'm a master's student at University of West Indies. Well, majoring in international policy. The reason why I take a liking to join this movement is because as AI, artificial intelligence, become more and more of a everyday practical thing we need in our society. The governance aspect and policy aspects always fascinates me because we're living in an ever-changing world now where artificial intelligence is becoming almost the next thing to oxygen. So I joined this movement mainly because I'd like to be a part of that catalyst in shaping at least or advocating for artificial intelligence in the Jamaican space and also the policy policing of it. So I'm excited to be here and I'm open to learn.
All right. Anyone else?
Good night, Travis. I'm a dev. I build things that use AI to provide value to people. I'm learning ML and I'm interested long term in RL and reasoning, and recently, I guess, world models.
All right.
Hi,
Anyone else?
everyone. My name is Ricardo J. Gowdy. I am an IT manager. I'm interested in artificial intelligence to see how it can help companies operate more efficiently. In recent times, I've started dabbling in AI using Python and creating chatbots and so forth. So I'm interested to see how this community grow and how I can, contribute to members here and also learn from you all.
All right. Thanks for joining. Anyone else?
I guess I could go. Or do you want me to? So this is Craig Ramnell here. I'm not in Jamaica. I'm a Trini, and I was asked to join by Rashawn, and then sent a request by Matthew. So I'm the executive director of the Artificial Intelligence Innovation Center at the UWI. I'm also the chair of the Caribbean AI Task Force, and I served on the United Nations Secretary General's high-level advisory body on AI. And so the idea is that at the humanity level, we wrote the AI recommendations, policies, and guidelines that was adopted in September 22nd in 2024 by the member states. And then in August 26, 2025, the terms of references of the recommendations were adopted again. And so now the Caribbean has to create its own policies and procedures. And that's what the Caribbean AI Task Force is to do. And afterwards, then we will have this, we will see how it goes with the next set of resolutions and declarations. So I'm here on invite. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for coming, Craig. Definitely, it's an honor to have you here. Yeah, I did see the news report about the task force, the Caribbean AI Task Force. Yeah, we'd love to hear. Maybe we can have another meeting. Just really focus on that. Yeah, we'd love to hear a lot more about that. And I know you do a lot of work in AI. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm seeing here you're the executive director of the AI Innovation Center at the UWI St. Augustine.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you'd be able to talk about it now, but maybe could you give like a brief just synopsis of the kind of work you guys do over there?
Yeah, that's fine. So what happened was that I started a lab called the Intelligent Systems Lab in 2018. I've been involved in AI since at the graduate level since 2011 at the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at St. Augustine. In 2014, I became a lecturer. So for some time, I've been involved with it at the level of publication, implementation, and so on. And so I started this lab in 2018, which was a department lab, and it grew in size. It started with 3 persons, and then it grew in size 7, 10, and so on. And then in 2023, I was asked to create an AI center. And so I ended up creating 2. The first one is called Insight, which I named after the Intelligent Systems Lab. Insight is named the Institution for Intelligent Systems, Human-Centered Governance, Governance and Human-Centered Technology. And that is a UE institute that operates in all campuses. That one has not been fully pushed out yet. It has been agreed, but it hasn't been fully pushed out yet. And that one handles all of the governance-based things that the UE, in terms of AI, should do, in terms of implementation, being part of the academic experts who discuss things with the with countries and so on. And the other one I built, which was an upgrade from the ISL, is the AIIC, which is the one that I run as the executive director. And so that one is now 42 members, and it's a campus-wide center at St. Augustine. It's 42 members, and the work that we do is in terms of hardware, software, and math. And we have about what is called research clusters. We have about 9 of them operating in things like in chemical engineering, in civil engineering, in the humanities, in law, in gender studies, as as much as possible. We incubate projects. So we incubate software-based and hardware-based projects. We are building out things like semiconductors to power our own servers and so on. We do have a high-performance compute cluster, which is in the bottom floor of a building with its own AC plant and its own power plant. We have around 15 or 16 partners. So these are international partners that we do development work with. So it's companies like Sony, Honeywell, foundations like the Patrick McGovern Foundation, and so on, the Development Bank for Resilient Prosperity, the Public Foundation. We do national work as well for EMA and so on, WASA, TNTech. And so it's really dependent on the kind of things that is required of the center. So it's a regional center. So we still do work with CARICOM, and you would see that I do a lot of work with the Caribbean nations. So it's not something that we say that we only do work with Trinidad and Tobago, although we are in St. Augustine, we are UE, and that is regional based. So we have a mandate to develop things within the region. But what is very important and what we are seeing is this development of AI systems. The problem is that people are using a lot of open source tools that they don't really know what it is trained on. And so we have built the first Caribbean foundational model because we have the high performance compute. That is the kind of things that we kind of give out to the public for free. That one will be launched on the 13th of December with our launch. So yeah, that's it for the long and short of the center.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it definitely sounds, from what I've heard, sounds good. Yeah, I can definitely see areas where we definitely can collaborate. Because I think we can definitely make a lot more progress if we, work together as a region, rather than disjointedly. But yeah, definitely, we probably can arrange for another meeting because I'd love to pick your brain on the the resources you guys have, the high performance compute, because it's something that I've been pushing for here as well in terms of setting up our own AI labs, getting the compute, and we've been doing some work in terms of reaching out to possible sponsors. But yeah, I mean the work that you're doing over there, I think is very important in terms of creating a Caribbean-based foundational model. I mean, it kind of aligns with our vision of more countries building what we call sovereign AI systems that more align with their culture and their values and stuff like that, instead of just depending on models that somebody in Europe or somebody in North America developed, and you don't know exactly what are the guardrails that were set up in this model, or even if it aligns necessarily with the ethical framework of the society that is currently deployed in. So it's definitely an important conversation to be had in terms of more collaboration and just that work in general is important. So definitely thank you for coming, Craig. And definitely look forward to more collaboration going forward. All right. So I guess thanks everyone for the introductions. Thanks for
I
coming.
can give an introduction, but I don't want to hold up the time. If you want, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, man, sure. Yeah, man, go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. So good night, everybody. I know it's a Sunday evening, and we're all gearing up for the week ahead and everything. All right. So my name is Dwayne Stevens. I'm an AI consultant, and I have been in the space for the last 2 years. Let me see. My background is more so GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, and of course, cybersecurity is infused in that, and IT audit is infused in that. So, as it is presently, I, of course, want to immerse myself more in the community in terms of just networking, meeting new people, seeing where we could possibly collaborate, how I could be of assistance to the this group in terms of AI, which is the core, and my skill sets and my experiences, how I could bring that to the fore to see how we could assist each other. So that is it for me. I've been in the space for about 2 decades now. I mean, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm there. And I guess if you want to know a little bit more, we can also have a chat if you so desire. But I'm really looking forward to this group. And as I told Matthew, this is a very good initiative, and I really look forward to seeing how I can support. So thank you very much, everybody. Thanks, Matthew, for the space.
All right, thanks for coming. All right, so we've been having just to recap some things that have been done, let's say over the summer, going into the end of this year. So in the summer, we recently concluded our AI masterclasses. So we had about 3 masterclasses. So one was on AI in finance, taught by Samaria Brown. One was AI in healthcare, just taught by Dr. Bewaji. And another one was AI for coding agents. So basically how to prompt coding agents to write code for non-coders. So that was held by Enrique. And we sent out, surveys just to see what people were feeling about the courses. Generally, most people felt that the courses were helpful. So it was offered for free to all our supporting members. If you weren't, it was just a very affordable $1,500, 1,500 Jamaican dollars, which is like $9 US. Yeah, and we sent out certificates as well to people that completed the course. And it was very encouraging just to see the participation based on what the instructors were telling me, that people are engaged, people are actually learning. Even for some of the courses, they actually did projects. We're probably gonna have like a session or a meeting where we actually get to see some of the work that people would have learned or done during that classes. So just to announce, we're planning to have another master class or a few more master classes to round out the year. One of our master classes is going to be around AI, just using AI for marketing. Let's say you have a product or a book. The person that's going to do that, she was here a few weeks ago. Her name is Tiffany, yes. And she basically told us how she used AI to help her market her books, and how she's now basically living off of being her books, living off of author income. So that's what AI was able to do, and it's empowering regular Jamaican citizens to essentially be able to achieve their dreams and have another source of income. So AI, I know there's a lot of talk about AI taking people's jobs, and we can have discussions about whether that's actually happening or how much of that is actually happening, how much of it is really just media hype. And maybe we can even, at the end of the meeting, just talk about how best the Caribbean could navigate if there is a very big job impact by AI, how best to navigate it, right? So that leads me into another thing that happened last week or the week before. We had our first policy committee meeting, right? Led by Ashley Robinson and Craig Peru. And I guess Ashley can probably give me a recap of, just a brief recap of what you guys discussed and how you guys plan on moving forward from here. Sorry to put you on the spot. Just
Yeah, you did. That's okay.
Yeah.
Hi everyone again. So Ashley Robinson, Vice Chair of the Policy Committee. So for our inaugural meeting, I'd say, we really went through what we want the Policy Committee to be about. We have different ideas of how governance and compliance and AI work together, but we set out what it is, the principles are of the policy committee specifically, which were, I don't want to misquote, to use the principles of good science and knowledge in order to put forward ethical and responsible statements as it relates to AI governance. That's not the specific ones, but I think that truly captured what we were looking for. Now, how we plan going, what happened in the meeting, I will say, is that we had robust discussions about how AI policy will work. As everyone knows, policy tends to be very wide depending on the area that you're working with. So we had members speak about what discussions they'd like to have about AI policy. We had conversation about whether or not AI policy in education, AI policy in healthcare, AI policy in legislation, and what is it that we're going to advocate for. We put that all on the board. For those of you that weren't there and aren't yet supporting members, I encourage you to do so. We had that all on board where we are going to pull together the highest responses the highest responses from the members to determine how we go forward in advocating for policy in Jamaica and throughout the Caribbean. And our next meeting is, I believe, October 2nd, and I hope to see you all there so we can have a robust discussion on AI policy. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ashley. Before I continue, any questions on what Ashley just said? Maybe someone had a question. If you've never heard of this policy committee before, maybe how to join, stuff like that.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
And just from outside looking in, I know you guys had a AI task force, a national AI task force.
Mm-hmm.
Is this committee and that task force, because I understand that they would have put forward a set of recommendations as well.
Yeah.
Is it that this is the implementation body for that, for those recommendations, or how? I'm just trying to understand how it works.
So the AI task force, so that it's actually a separate entity. But actually some of the members on that task force are part of our oversight / advisory board. So we're not officially the implementer of the AI task force, although we've had conversations with the minister and people in the task force about becoming that. So that you could say is more or less the aim. So it's not as though we're planning to operate in silo and like not communicate or work with. In fact, I had a conversation with the chairman just the other day, and he's always reaching out and willing to work with us. So it may become that officially, but at the moment it's not that. Not like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
I think the chairman is my vice chair. So I was trying to
Yeah,
figure out
I
how.
saw that.
Yeah.
Chris Reckford, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they're planning to reconstitute because there was just an election. I'm not sure if they're planning. I heard conversations about possibly reconstituting the National AI Task Force in Jamaica in terms of the members and stuff like that. But I'm not quite sure what's the progress on that. The last output they had was as you said, the policy recommendations, which we even, as an association, had a conversation or discussion about it. So I'm not exactly sure of the plans for that task force going forward, but as I said, we are in communication with the people that run the task force. So more likely to come, there'll be a tighter collaboration between the two entities, or that's the hope. Yeah, but either way, there are objectives that we plan to achieve, and we plan to achieve them regardless. Whether that's either educating the public on AI, the good uses of AI, how to use it properly, or whether that's hosting hackathons and essentially doing as much as we can to encourage AI development within the country, AI startups, AI research. So we even have our own sort of research group, and we've published papers. So regardless of the government collaboration or how tight that may end up being, we have our objectives to achieve, and we plan to achieve them. But yeah, let me see. Right. Was there any other question on the policy committee meeting? Okay. But one of the things we want coming out of these policy committee meetings is to essentially start the conversation on several topics that maybe people aren't really looking at and should be looking at. And the hope and the plan is for some of this to actually influence government policy going forward. As we know, there's politics involved with anything, but we want to at least get our opinions out there on how things or how we think, AI should be implemented correctly in the Jamaican society. But the Caribbean region, a lot of the countries are similar in many ways. So a lot of the things that are affecting us affect other Caribbean countries as well. I guess near the end of the meeting, we'll just have a brief discussion on, I guess, how we're possibly seeing, because we're seeing a lot of reports now, and probably it's hard to deny that there is some amount of impact with the AI and the job market. We can have a discussion about how the Caribbean could possibly navigate that. Next thing on the agenda, the technical committee meeting. Before I continue, if you want to join the JIA as a supporting member, simply go to jia.org.jm, click connect with us. We have a link tree with like the WhatsApp group. This is what we communicate mostly on. We have a YouTube channel, we have Twitter, and we do also have an Instagram. Should pop up. It's not here. Anyways, we're also on Instagram, JI_876. But if you want to register as a supporting member, just click on that register now button and just follow the instructions as you go along. All right, so we have different membership tiers. You can register as a organization if you want. You can register as a general member, which is free. But if you register as a general member, you don't get a lot of the benefits, such as being able to be a part of these committees. To register as a supporting member, it's literally just 1,500 Jamaican dollars for the entire year, which is literally $9 US. We're actually in the process of finalizing the online payments. So by next week, you should be able to pay for the membership online. Yeah. So that's that. This back. All right. So another
Hey,
committee.
Matthew.
Oh,
Sorry,
question?
Matthew.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I actually was on the site trying to figure out how to join, but it's not so clear to me. But I don't want to take up the meeting with you. But if you could
Oh,
just make a note of it, that it's not that obvious on the site, and I still haven't figured it out. But
oh, you click
if
this
yeah,
connect us.
oh
There,
that. Oh, sorry,
yeah,
my bad. Got it. Got it. All right. Sorry.
yeah,
Continue.
no problem. Yeah, we're gonna do some updates to the site as well. Because what we want to do is essentially have members be able to have profiles on the site. So we're gonna have like learning contents. A lot of the master classes that we've had, you'll be able to, once you're a supporting member, you can have access to that content at any point in time. So anybody, even if you're whichever profession you are and you want to be able to essentially see how AI can possibly, make you more efficient, make you a better employee, or allow you to maximize your earnings, or even have some other form of income. All of that learning material is going to be on the site. So you're gonna have like a profile where you can see a membership status, you can see all of the content. You can see a status with the committees, they see all the meetings and the meetings from the meeting, the notes from those meetings. So yeah, it would almost be like it's kind of following you on a journey to become a sort of using AI to uplift your life in a sense, right? So another committee meeting that's actually taking place this week is a technical committee meeting. So this is gonna be the arm of the JIA that's mostly just working on projects, right? So technical projects. So whether that's working on projects for different entities, we're actually working on a project right now with the University of the West Indies Mona campus, a chatbot A simple rich RAG-based chatbot that allows students to get information on their courses and stuff like that. We plan to actually expand it a bit further where it will be more personalized, so students can actually get recommendations on what courses to take and their GPA based on their GPA, like what courses they'll need to graduate, stuff like that. Sort of like a student companion type thing. So we know there are other organizations that want to use AI, but maybe don't know how to use it properly, maybe are afraid of their data getting leaked. And part of what we want to do is to essentially educate organizations on what are the possibilities. Yeah, so as you guys probably, or so even if you don't know it, one of the projects that we would have implemented at the JI is a LawBot, right? Which is basically like a chatbot to help you with Jamaican laws, right? There's a WhatsApp version and there is a website version. In fact, if you go to sorry, bot.jia.org.gm, you can literally have a conversation with the legal bot right now if you want. And it's like real-time conversation. As you talk, it will respond, stuff like that. So we did this to essentially make more laws more accessible in Jamaica. And we aren't stopping there. There are other projects that we plan to implement, more research that we plan to. So we're actually planning to also have a research committee. So the technical committee, Jonathan, who's on the call, is actually one of the people leading that. And I think that's Tuesday. Yeah, on Tuesday. So when you guys, if you register, the plan is to send out the registration links to all of these committees. So if you want to join any of these committees, you can. Right? Any questions so far on any of this?
Yeah, one question regarding the laws. Was there any engagement with Jamaica Printing Service? I think they have a monopoly. Yeah, I think they have a monopoly on publication of Jamaican laws, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you have any interaction with them at all?
With the Jamaica Printing Service, no. The laws, we got them, so they existed on the Ministry of Justice website. We had to do some work to actually extract the information, because they were like photocopied scans from documents.
Yes.
But we engaged different stakeholders like lawyers and even some people in the government, so they know about the initiative. I think the government even has their own legal bot now. I'm not sure what it's called. But no, not the Jamaica Printing Service.
Yeah, because they have had for a very long time somewhat of a chokehold on, you know, publication of the law. So anything that anybody else publishes is not, you know, it's somewhat subject to subject to saying whether it's authentic or not. But
right.
Yeah, it's just throwing that out there.
Yeah, man. One of the things we try to make sure of is, you know, even when you're using any of these things, we make sure to say, hey, make sure you consult a legal expert. You know, this is not legal advice. Yeah. And we try, when it gives it responses, it links back to the original document, so you can actually see if it matches up. But yeah, I mean, part of which is why it's good that we have this community. We all have blind sides, right? So as developers, you're doing something and your only aim is just to get out a product, right? But you may not be seeing so much the legal ramifications, the ethical ramification, the policy government, politics, all that stuff. And it's good that we have this community because someone can easily say, hey, and this has happened actually with one of the projects that we are embarking on in terms of getting more data in terms of voice, patois, people speaking patois and stuff like that. So somebody actually reached out to us and, hey, you guys need to make sure that you're registered with the, you're compliant with the Data Protection Act, because if you just collect data like that, it can be a problem. So that's one of the benefits of this community. It can essentially help us to do things in a right, proper, compliant, ethical way, essentially. Yeah. All right. So the first technical committee meeting is Tuesday. And will be led by Jonathan. I think it's Dimitri, but I don't think it's Dimitri here. All right. So before we kind of get into that conversation, just briefly talk about Project Iris. So I mean, the idea, it's basically just the large initiative around the idea of sovereign AI, right? Trying to build AI systems that are for Jamaicans, that understand our cultural context, values. A part of that is being able to collect more data, label data. So we actually are in the process of formalizing things like, data labeling teams and stuff like that. And we think that that can be another industry here in Jamaica. I know there's been a lot of conversation about the BPOs sector and how that's gonna get affected by automation. But I think there are other avenues possibly for revenue generation. And I think data is one of those avenues. So, if we can train our citizens generally on that, I think there's some possibility there, not to get left behind per se. So that's one of the things. It's also around training our society around proper AI use, proper AI development, AI research. So it's really an all-encompassing project around that. Because for a long time, a lot of companies have essentially just taken our data, like the OpenAI and the Google. They've taken our data, right? Basically robbed our culture. And they've created tools with this data, and essentially they're charging us now to use those tools. Right? And we don't think that's right. So part of that is actually proper or educating the public on, data ownership. How can we own our data? And if a company say wants to use said data abroad or internationally, how can we essentially ensure that we monetize that or earn from that? It shouldn't be right that these countries in the United States and Europe are making billions, trillions of these products off of our data, and we are not getting any benefits of that. That's not right. And that's part of the initiative as well. See a reason.
Yeah, so Matthew, conceptually, I think I understand exactly where you're going, conceptually, but I just want to know what's the overarching objective, or should I say goal, of this project? What is it that what is the end game? What exactly would we want to achieve when this project is completed?
Well, there are several components. One of that is basically trying to create AI tools that work better for, us as a country. For example, is something like speech to text, or even text to speech. As we know, for especially when it comes to closed captioning of like patois and like, Jamaican language, it's not perfect, right? It can be better. And one of the things we want to do is to see how we can essentially make it more accessible for Jamaicans, right? Or our people, essentially. Even something like text to speech, a lot of the voices, the AI voices you hear of Jamaicans, it's sort of like the Hollywood interpretation of what a Jamaican should sound like, not actually what they sound like. And I'm sure the same thing goes to other Caribbean countries as well. And expanding upon that, in terms of creating AI tools and systems that more align, so in chatbots that more align with our culture and our ethics. So recently when, for example, Grok, so that's Elon Musk's AI chatbot was released, they had to take it down quickly because it was spewing a lot of anti-Semitic hate and stuff like that. That's the danger that we fall prey to if we depend on AI systems that have largely been developed by the same set of people, right? You're going to fall prey to something like that. So we have to, as a country, start to think of how can we ensure that we are building systems that align with our values, generally as a people. Not only that, we could see as time goes on, and as the technology improves and improves, they may start to lock out some of that functionality to other countries, right? For competitive purposes, or just because they don't want to get that out there. I think again we should have control over, whether we have use of the technology. And if it's owned by someone else, again, we won't have any control over that. So the specifics are still sort of forming out. I mean, there's a few projects right now that have already begun along this initiative, but the overarching goal is to further Jamaica. So not just make us consumers of the technology, but actually make us contributors in the space, right? So developers, researchers, and essentially also, having deeper conversations about data ownership and stuff like that. Yeah. Not sure that answered the question. Okay. All right. All right, so it's almost 9 o'clock, so we'll just end with a conversation, and it will just come back to what I had raised. So we've been seeing a lot of reports lately of, young workers finding it hard to get jobs, right? I've seen it personally where young developers, for example, that maybe 5 years ago, they would have probably had a job by now, but now it's really a struggle. We're seeing some cases where companies are kind of not so quick to hire a junior or a fresh person. Maybe their logic is that, the AI tools is allowing the people that we already have to be more efficient. So do we actually need more? So I guess a question to you guys, and we can just have a short discussion on this. First of all, is it something that we should be worried about? Like, are we seeing an impact of AI on the job market, or is it just mostly media hype? Is it actually affecting the Caribbean, or is it just mostly a Europe or United States thing at the moment? And if it is, how best can we navigate that? So that's the questions I put out to you guys. Let's hear your thoughts. All right, feel free to open your mic and speak. I think I saw Grace.
Yeah. I put up my hand because I didn't want to bad manners. I recently wrote on this as it was actually a topic for one of the courses I'm doing. And my view of it is that we know that it is that AI is going to cause automation of the things that can be the things that are closest to being able to automate. So and our economy has benefited from dealing with unemployment by enlarging the BPO sector, and that's one of the areas where AI is going to hit. Anticipated that it will hit. I'm not sure the extent to which it's already hitting, but it is anticipated that that is one of the areas where it's gonna hit. And anything else, that you can automate, that is what is coming. What I believe though is that in the medium to long term, the focus of AI solutions is actually going to be what jobs can we create from AI, as opposed to what jobs can we just automate using AI. There's going to be a necessary flip, because if it doesn't flip, then you're going to have some serious social issues arising from it, and all the sociologists and so on will apply their the Maslow theory, the hierarchy of needs, and all those things are going to come to play. So we're not going to just lie down and be automated. It is going to be that AI has to serve humanity, not the other way around. So to the extent that Jamaica can position itself to have that long range view, and I really applaud you, Matthew, and your team for what you're doing here and the vision that you have. And I would certainly encourage going in the direction of saying, what jobs can AI actually create, as opposed to just what jobs can AI, what can it automate? Because we're going to end up with a massive problem if we don't start thinking like that. There's more, but I will allow somebody else to speak. Thank you.
All right. Dwayne, yeah, hand raised.
Yeah, good night again, everyone. So I tend to agree with most of what Grace would have said, and I just wanted to just add to that I believe in Jamaica, if we're speaking about Jamaica specifically, we still have a lot of persons who are not on the AI train, I should say. Some of them are looking at the train, and some want to get on the train. Some of us, like all of us here, are on the train. So you have persons who are at different stages in terms of just understanding and embracing the technology and using it. Now, apart from the regular AI software that's out there that most persons would use, like you have your ChatGPTs and your Gammas and all of those different tools, there aren't a lot of persons who understand exactly how to leverage some of these tools to do what they need to get done. So when you think about the job market and replacing jobs, I think we still have some more years left. Also, when it comes to jobs, you have to think about our labor laws, and you have to understand that Jamaica's labor laws are ancient and they need to be revamped. And when it comes to policy for AI, to really have the foothold on the culture of Jamaica, as it is now, it's really not there. We have a task force, but we don't have a national position on artificial intelligence. So when it comes to replacing jobs, I just think we are not there yet. It's gonna take a lot of things to be implemented the right way for one to say that artificial intelligence is not going to take the place of a human being. What you're gonna find though is that you're gonna find that persons are going to be leveraging the technology that are persons who are actually on the train. They are going to be leveraging technology. They're going to be seeing the benefits, and they're also going to be excelling in whatever it is that they're doing. Companies who are leveraging AI are going to have a competitive advantage. Once it is that they find the sweet spot in terms of how it's going to make them make more money or make them more efficient. And people are not just gonna be losing their jobs because you're gonna need somebody who with the exception of the BPO sector, of course, I mean, where you can have your automated voice recorders who can answer calls, and once they have the data in terms of questions that make one know how to respond, I don't think any other sector will be so far-fetched impacted, but for the future, maybe 10, 15 years down the line, there is going to be a significant change in terms of the jobs that are available and the requirements. And I can tell you, persons who have embraced artificial intelligence are going to be the ones who are going to benefit from that change. Those who are not on the train, they're going to be left behind. And I think Jamaica, we are trying to get on the train. I don't know if we're really on the train as yet, but I think we are looking at the train and trying to get on it. And I think that's why I love this space, because we know the benefits and we are already on the train. Over to you, Matthew.
Great point. Let's see, Travis.
Oh, yes. So on the dev point, I think I don't know. I can't really tell if firms' hiring decisions are strictly, sometimes they scapegoat AI for things that they do for other reasons, but the bar for juniors is definitely higher. Like if you send in your resume with no projects, it's definitely a bad look in the age of like Cursor. But to the longer term point, I have maybe an extreme view that the future of work, at least knowledge work, is kind of creating evaluations, data sets, and benchmarks and reinforcement learning environments for AI agents to get better at domain specific tasks. So, because these systems, they're kind of good at what's in their data set. So like, for example, there's a lot of code on the internet, but less so for like lawyers. So it could be a case where, in my view, we have a potential future where you do work by getting a deep learning system to fit to your task. And that's kind of how you think of it. You think data set first and benchmark first, and kind of hill climb until it gets good at your task that you want it to do. But I don't know if that's a bit overkill, or like it would take a lot of work, but it seems like they're working towards that with like Operator, etc., working on the internet in ambiguous environments to kind of navigate and getting better at that over time. So I don't know, your thoughts, guys.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting. Yeah, I actually think you're right in some respect. Definitely, we're probably going to have to change our mindset generally on what it means to have a job. The motivations of people coming out of school, this whole idea of, yeah, come out of school and there's a job waiting for me. that mindset may have to shift a bit more so to, how can I use these tools possibly to provide value to let's say, consumers or to corporate companies, stuff like that. As others have rightly said, like the people who are, head first into this, will have the advantage in the future. See, Ashley.
Everybody, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. I have an idea that I'd like to put out to the entire committee. And it might be a stretch, but follow with me. So AI is going to change our jobs and it's going to reframe how we look at work. But until then, what can be done to traditional work service? In Jamaica specifically, labor law tends to be passive towards employees. In fact, I think that the Companies Act says that directors, for instance, may only have regard to employees versus other countries like the UK and Canada, where they have a specific duty to protect employees. With that being said, I believe an active protection that could be put in place is that an employee cannot be made redundant if their replacement is an AI advancement. Follow me. That's not to say AI advancements wouldn't be introduced, still can be introduced, but an employee cannot be made redundant if artificial intelligence is the rationale. I bring it to you like this. For instance, I don't know how many of you have looked at what it means to immigrate in to different countries, but for instance, Canada has a system where before they're able, and I think the US as well, before they're able to grant you a work permit, they have to look around to ensure that no other person is qualified or equally available. We could use the same kind of rationale here to say if a person can do the work with AI, and AI alone cannot do it, for instance, if we use that rationale of some sort, then they cannot be made redundant. Because that would ensure that the employee themselves are protected immediately. Unless they can demonstrate that no existing employee could reasonably perform the work, with the assistance of AI. If AI can do it by itself, then sure. So that to me would ensure that AI wouldn't, and this is my dislike with AI sometimes, it's a cheap shortcut to a low quality product. If we ensure that a human is behind the engineering of it, I think we would get better protections for the employees while still ensuring development of AI. I add that my knowledge, having studied in the UK, was that I think there was specific tests that you had to pass before you're able to be made redundant. So they'd have to prove that, they were losing a significant amount of money or your work as an employee is no longer needed unless they could move those marks. If we can establish that unless AI can wipe out those tests completely, then an employee should be protected. And even if we don't get it at national policy, individuals like yourselves could advocate for that in your work contracts. What do you guys think?
I think that's very interesting. I mean, I guess the question would be, because you said if a human plus AI or with AI tools could possibly do the same job. I guess the question is, same job at the same efficiency? 'Cause I mean, they could possibly do the same job, but the company could argue the AI alone possibly could do it faster or better. But I mean, I guess if you could say, if the AI had this, if the human had the assistance of the AI, they could possibly be on par in terms of efficiency and quality, then I mean, I guess, yeah. But then the question is also, we're living a capitalist system. Companies are always looking to save on costs. Now you're telling companies that, hey, you have a way to save costs, but we're not allowing you to do that.
Yeah,
it-
but that's
it
not
could be
that
considering
they could make
some
the
possibly.
same.
Mhm.
Sorry, Matthew, but maybe this is not the right point, but you could make the same thing to say that I was thinking bathrooms. You have to provide employees with a bathroom.
Mhm.
You have to ensure that certain things are in place. We could I understand the idea of capitalism and them wanting to limit costs, but even if you could, as an individual, contract for at least 2 years of your service, if you have a 5-year contract, that if your work is replaced by AI. So I understand larger firms. I see a question in the chat, like how would you work with, competing with foreign firms that will just fire? This is why we need large scale. I think the Center for AI Development may have had a conversation with employee rights as well. I'll send it. But it is for the employees themselves to advocate for the space. So the employer and the members of the board, perhaps, with the fiduciary duties, would never have the employees cost as first thought. In fact, labor tends to be a large part of any company's expenses. But if you could argue for it in your individual contracts, then you would save yourself some space, at least some time as AI develops, to develop new skills and to serve yourself in a different parts of the market. Just a thought. Again, it's not something that may work in national policy, but it may work on an individual level.
Yeah. Sigrid.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Where it landed with me though was if you can't, it might be because you're pretty much presenting it as a one-to-one relationship between employee and AI. The reality is that AI presents, as we all know, AI presents volume and pace advantage, and no one employee is going to be able to fight against that. So the question is, how do we transform what you are suggesting into, say, a class of workers as opposed to an individual worker? Because it's not likely, in my view, it's not likely you're going to be able to fight that battle to say, well, okay, keep Barbara Sue because, AI is threatening her job. The reality is that AI is not just threatening Barbara Sue's job. AI is likely to be threatening Barbara Sue and Paul and John and Tom and Jerry and everybody else all together, so negotiating for it in a one-on-one contract. I don't know. You follow what I'm saying? That it's
I
just
agree,
because of the
Grace.
nature of AI itself, it really doesn't really replace one job. It tends to just provide an opportunity to do more and faster. What do you think?
I agree completely, but then it brings me back to SAG-AFTRA's union strikes last year. So I agree, a class of people is probably better than an individual. And SAG-AFTRA's and the Writers Guild came together and said that, unions need to keep, and that would be, I don't remember the term for them, but Netflix, Disney, HBO, they all have to keep paying writers and cannot replace writers and actors with AI. So that ensured that class of people for now cannot be immediately replaced by AI, and that they would still have to ensure that 1 or 2 writers are in a room to protect the quality of products that are being put forward. Because admittedly, maybe not, this is not even an AI issue, but admittedly, the quality of work product has disintegrated well, I'll speak about media specifically. As we consume more, request more, the quality of media has gone down. I think we all can agree upon that. but by preserving the writers themselves, SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild have somewhat preserved quality for a period of time as they still integrate artificial intelligence. So I agree that a class of people will be better. Again, just a thought. I'm just wondering, because as it is that people are going to lose some of their jobs to AI, but you're going to have to figure out different ways to make money. Yes, different ways to earn, different ways to learn a new skill sets. But as that happens, a lot of people are going to be left behind. A lot of people will not learn the new skills necessary. I can speak about my own office experience. Most people don't even know how to use Microsoft Word. So, you know, those people, what protections will be allowed to them? And I thought that maybe a clause contract or even unions could start conceptualizing the idea of AI protection in contracts and employment rights, even industrial tribunal, perhaps. Just a thought. Not one I fleshed out, admittedly.
Boy, I would be so impressed if you actually were able to flesh it out further than that, because I've been stuck on that thought for a few months now. So anybody who can get past where you are, I think is a genius. To figure out exactly what to do with a whole, a whole cadre of persons who just may not. And it's not that there's something wrong with them, let me just make it clear. It's just that you really have a technological advancement that has posed a question to humanity. And we haven't had the answer to it as yet. So is that there's something wrong with the people? Is that we have to answer that question as to how we're going to make jobs for people, because people have to work. It's not just because they need money, they need something productive to do. You know?
In a session I had with a UE lecturer, sorry Matthew if I'm monopolizing, but in a session I had with UE, I think UE in Barbados, one of the conversations was that we're moving towards, what is it? It's where we become ourselves automated. And I can't remember the word at this juncture, but we would just log in. What's the product that Elon Musk was working on with the Neuralink? Yes, we would just log in from that basis, and we ourselves as individuals will become automated. There was a fear that the professor had shared, and though I think that's not impossible, I do think that there's a lot of steps along the way, and there's a lot of opportunities along the way to mitigate the risk. Because unlike our forefathers, again, unlike the Industrial Revolution, where our poor forefathers, wherever your background might have been on the slave plantation and couldn't see that. Wow, my goodness. A lot of things are changing, but we're aware of the changes and we can protect ourselves against the things that might be coming a lot easier than other people. So it will be interesting to see, and perhaps we ourselves as JIA can work on policies to protect employees in the midst of that. Yes.
Yeah, I think this is a very important conversation. It's giving me the idea. I'm gonna see if I can reach out to the chairman of the task force, see if we can possibly set up some town halls where we can have, people here, and not just people here, people that will actually be affected by some of these technological advancements and any policy that the government ends up recommending. Because these are some good ideas that definitely could possibly help with the situation that they might be not even thinking of. So if we can get the policymakers in the room, government people in the room, I think that would be a really good idea, actually. So, I mean, there are some really good conversations. But I don't want to keep you guys on a Sunday. It's almost 9:30. So it's definitely something we'll take up back again. But, thanks for the great conversation. Thanks everyone for coming out. What we're doing here is very important. It's an important mission that we're on, and we're all a part of it. We're all a part of the same community. The same goal of, making sure that Jamaica jumps on that AI train. Yeah, making sure it doesn't miss us. All right. All right. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you at the next meeting. All right, bye everyone.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Thank
Night,
you.
everyone.
Good evening.